Okay, everyone, welcome to our class. This week we have a review of units 5 and 6. We'll have the opportunity to go over the material again with some explanations. So I hope you enjoy this week because I know we ran a little bit fast over the material, but today you'll be able to just to look over again. We're going to see time clauses. We're going to see clauses of concession, clauses of reason. We are going to see contrast. We are going to see everything that we saw that we everything we covered the last 2 weeks. I think we're going to be able to take a look again. Okay. So first, we are going to go to page 60 and we are going to review until and as soon as time clauses. Okay, so now watch the video.
Times clauses. Unit 5, Lesson B. Clauses with until and as soon as. Watch and listen. Dependent time clauses with as soon as and until can come at the beginning or end of a sentence. As soon as and until can be about the present, the past, or the future. Present. As soon as means right after.
As soon as Mr. Shamash finishes his lunch, Almaz leaves Quiet Plains.
Until means up to a particular time.
Almaz stays with Mr. Shamash until he finishes his lunch.
Past. As soon as means right after.
As soon as Mr. Shamash finished his lunch, Almaz left Quiet Plains.
Until means up to a particular time.
Almaz stayed with Mr. Shamash until he finished lunch.
Future. As soon as means right after.
As soon as Mr. Shamash finishes his lunch, Almaz will leave Quiet Plains.
Until means up to a particular time.
Almaz will stay with Mr. Shamash until he finishes lunch.
Check your understanding. Look at the picture and the tense. Complete the sentences. Choose the correct time clause and decide on the correct form of the verb in parentheses.
As soon as Mr. Shamash finishes his lunch, Almaz leaves Quiet Plains.
Almaz stays with Mr. Shamash until he finishes lunch.
As soon as Mr. Shamash finished his lunch, Almaz left Quiet Plains.
Almaz stayed with Mr. Shamash until he finished lunch.
As soon as Mr. Shamash finishes his lunch, Almaz will leave Quiet Plains.
Almaz will stay with Mr. Shamash until he finishes lunch.
Let's review. Present. As soon as is the same as right after. As soon as Mr. Shamash finishes his lunch, Almaz leaves Quiet Plains. Until is the same as up to a particular time. Almaz stays with Mr. Shamash until he finishes lunch. Past. As soon as is the same as right after. As soon as Mr. Shamash finished his lunch, Almaz left Quiet Plains. Until is the same as up to a particular time. Almaz stayed with Mr. Shamash until he finished lunch. Future. As soon as is the same as right after. As soon as Mr. Shamash finishes his lunch, Almaz will leave Quiet Plains. Until is the same as up to a particular time. Almaz will stay with Mr. Shamash until he finishes lunch.
Okay, everyone. So now I hope you had a good refresher by watching the video. So now we are gonna go ahead and do some exercises to get it, just to grasp better the material. Let's go to our workbook, page 56. Go to your workbook, page 56, and we are gonna do the exercise. If you did these exercises already, that's fine. We're gonna try to use them as review. And if you didn't have the opportunity to finish these exercises, now it's a good opportunity, okay? So future time clauses, okay? So basically it's as soon as and until, okay? So exercise number 1, let's take a look here. Underline the future time clause in each sentence. So basically the exercise is asking you to underline the future clause. So let's go here. I'll help you with your homework as soon as I finish doing mine. So the future is here, but the time clause is here, okay? As soon as. So number 2, as soon as I finish cleaning the house, I'll go to the store. So the time clause is the one that comes with as soon as. So this is the one, okay? As soon as I finish cleaning the house. Number 3, my husband will take care of the children until I get home from work. My husband will take care of the children until I get home from work. Until I get home from work is the time clause. Number 4, I'll volunteer every day until summer vacation ends. Time clause is until summer vacation ends. Remember, as soon as, the meaning is right after, and until is up to a particular time. Number 5, until my son eats all his salad, I won't give him any dessert. So the time clause is until my son eats all his salad. Okay? Very good. Easy or difficult? Okay? Good? Okay, so now we are going to go to the next exercise. Okay? So let's go to the next exercise. So this exercise, basically what you had to do is look at Danny's schedule and circle the correct word. So you had to take a look at his schedule and circle the correct words here, okay? So now you have, oops, let me just make it better, to a better fit. Okay, okay, good. So this is Danny's schedule. 11 a.m., 11:15, noon, 12:45, 1:30, 3, and 4 p.m. So what is the first thing that the volunteers do? They check their assignments as soon as or until they arrive at the hospital. As soon as they arrive at the hospital. How do you know? Because arrive, check, they are on the same line here. Okay? So, number 2. What will Danny do first? She will take toys to the children as soon as or until it's time for lunch. And the right answer is she will take toys until it's time for lunch. Okay? Number 3, when will she deliver the mail? As soon as or until the children finish their lunch, Danny will deliver the mail. So as soon as, meaning right after lunch, Danny will, Danny will deliver the mail. Okay? Number 4, how long will she read cards to the children? She read cards to the children as soon as or until Victor arrives. She will read cards to the children until Victor arrives. Up to the time Victor arrives. That's the idea. Okay? Continuing, number 5, what will she and Victor do? They'll start a painting class as soon as or until Victor arrives. They'll start a painting class as soon as. So right after he arrives, they will start the class. Okay? And number 6, what will they do with the paintings? As soon as or until the paintings are finished, they'll put them on the walls. It seems the best option here is as soon as the paintings are finished, they'll put them on the walls. Okay? So this is the correction of exercise 2. I hope you had a good time. I hope this was a good refresher, and we'll continue to do more review. Okay, everyone, now we are moving to our next subject in this review. We are going to talk about verb tense contrast, repeated actions in the present and past. So actions that you did habitually as part of your routine or something like that, or any other action that you want to convey the idea that it was a repeated action, a repeated event. Okay? An important thing about this lesson was to understand that you use 3 verbal tenses. You use the simple present, you use the simple past, and you use the present perfect. And also when giving the idea of repeated action, you can use time phrases that express the idea of number of times, once, twice, 3 times, many times. And also you can use the time phrases that give you the idea of, or time expressions. For example, a week, each month, last year, 2 years, so far, recently, okay, and so forth. So watch the video, and after the video, we'll come back to do some practice, okay? But now, review the video.
Verb tense contrast. Unit 5, Lesson C. Repeated actions in the past and present. Watch and listen. In sentences that talk about repeated actions, the correct word order is subject plus verb plus number of times plus time expression. The number of times answers the questions, how often? The time expression answers the question, when? Present.
This year, Sana volunteers at the homeless shelter 3 times a week.
This year, Sana is volunteering at the homeless shelter several times a month.
Past.
Sana volunteered at the homeless shelter once last year.
Sana volunteered at the homeless shelter twice when she was 12.
Present perfect.
Sana has volunteered at the homeless shelter several times recently.
Sana has volunteered at the homeless shelter many times in her life.
Check your understanding. Look at the picture and the tense. Complete the sentences using the correct form of the verb in parentheses. Now listen to the sentences.
This year, Sana volunteers at the homeless shelter 3 times a week.
This year, Sana is volunteering at the homeless shelter 3 times a week.
Sana volunteered at the homeless shelter once last year.
Sana volunteered at the homeless shelter twice when she was 12.
Sana has volunteered at the homeless shelter several times recently.
Sana has volunteered at the homeless shelter many times in her life.
Let's review. Present.
This year, Sana volunteers at the homeless shelter. This year, Sana is volunteering at the homeless shelter.
Number of times.
Once, twice, 3 times, several times, many times.
Time expressions.
A week. A month.
Past.
Sana volunteered at the homeless shelter.
Number of times.
Once, twice, 3 times, several times, many times.
Time expressions.
Last year, 2 years ago, when she was 12.
Present perfect.
Sana has volunteered at the homeless shelter.
Number of times.
Once, twice, 3 times, several times, many times.
Time expressions.
So far, recently, in her life.
Okay, guys, now we are gonna do some practice. We are on workbook page 58. If you haven't done this page, these exercises, you have the opportunity now to do it again. If you did this before, now you have the time to do the correction together, okay? An important thing about studying verb tense contrast is to be able to distinguish the different verbal tenses. So it seems that that's the focus of this exercise. So let's go to workbook page 58 and let's do the exercises here. So circle the verbs, then write present, present perfect, or past. So first you have to circle the verb. In this case, I play games with the children in the hospital each Wednesday. This is present. I'm just gonna put the initials of the verb so we won't take too much time. Jeremy went to the homeless shelter 10 times last year. The verb here is went. This is past. Oops, that's terrible. Let me write. Yeah, I have to write. This is past. Okay. Number 3. I delivered dinners to senior citizens every Monday after school last year. The verb is delivered, right? And the verb tense is past again. Okay. Number 4, we have visited our grandfather twice so far this month. We have visited, the verb is have visited. I'm just going to underline, okay? Oh no, that's fine. I think I can make it. Okay. And this is present perfect. You have the have as a present perfect. Okay. Number 5, Nina takes her grandmother to the hairdresser every week. The verb in this case is takes, right? And this verb is present. Okay. And the last one, number 6, I have worked with elderly people many times in the past. The verb here is I have worked. So the verbal tense is, because you have as an auxiliary, as an helper verb, present perfect. Okay, good. Any questions?